Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Manitoba Agriculture and Resource Development 2020 Quarry Rehabilitation on Private Land Program webinar. If you have any questions this morning during the presentation, please type them into the questions section of the GoToWebinar menu, and we will answer them at the end of the presentation. If we run out of time, your questions will be answered via email. This webinar is being recorded, and you will receive a link to the recording. Thank you.
Hi there, my name's Jane and welcome to the 2020 Quarry Rehabilitation on Private Land Program demonstration on filling in an online application. So just to start, if you need to find where the application sits, just type in Quarries, Corner, Manitoba, and spell Manitoba correctly. Enter. And you'll find it'll go directly to our Quarry's Corner page. On this page, you will see some information just in regards to the program, highlighting that the application deadline is August 31st, 2020. You'll find the news release. You'll find a 20 to 25 slide presentation on filling in the application. You'll find the background report from the Auditor General as to the previous Quarry Rehabilitation Program and why we're moving forward this year for the 2020 Private Land Program. You'll find some questions and answers. You'll find our regional map. You'll find our highlighted application form, as well as the instruction guide and the guide to calculating the cost per cubic meter. So going into the application form, it's laid out in a somewhat understandable, well, no, it's laid out in a manner so you're filling in the application information, the eligibility requirements, the land location, as well as some information in regards to the embankment sloping, stockpiles, and other required information. So at the very beginning, you'll be entering just your name, initial, and your last name. If you happen to be a municipality, you can indicate your regional municipality here. If you're a corporation, you can also fill in that information. You'll be submitting your mailing address, the city, using the drop-down menu for province, indicate Manitoba, your postal code, your contact phone number, and your email address. I've made an error here, so I'll just back this up and correct it there. So description of the rehabilitation work. Here, this is basically telling us the information in regards to the location. If you click on lot, block, and plan, it'll drop down and you will fill in this information. You can also fill in information to the legal subdivision and quarter, as well as providing GPS coordinates. If you only know one of these things, then you just click off that information and you fill it in to indicate southwest quarter and your section number, township, range, and then also selecting the meridian, either west, east, or east 2. Are you submitting an aerial photograph or map of the area? So this actually is more of a reminder to you as the applicant filling in information that you will be required to submit a map or some aerial photos or a satellite imagery or ground photos of the quarry that you are rehabilitating. So you always want to respond yes, and that way we will be able to look for that information in a separate email. So you'll be indicating your municipality to us. You will be advising us which region your quarry that you'll be rehabilitating is located in. So you can see that it has Region 1 Northern, Region 2 is Parklands Westman, Region 3 is Interlake Central Plains Pembina Valley, and Region 4 is Eastman. So if you actually go to the map that is found on our website, you will see the same titles, regions, and basically color coding where each of those regions are located. And this information is being used for us to rank the applications. This is one of our ways to ensure that landowners are able to access and the funding is distributed in a fair and reasonable manner. So we are now requesting information to the status of title number and the name on the status. So I'm sure you're all familiar with these types of forms. So here you'll see the status of title that's being received from the property registry. We're requiring that this document is within 30 days of the submission of the application. The title number is located here. The name that of ownership for the title for the parcel of land, is here. And if you do need to confirm your actual legal subdivision, that information can also be found on your status of title. So if you're a corporation, please provide the name of an individual who owns 50% or more. So again, you're just kind of filling in some of the details if you're a corporation. So here we are asking you the type of aggregate that was produced from the pit or quarry. So you can indicate sand, gravel. If you didn't have any sand, and then you can click on no. You can also leave these things blank if you're not 100% sure, but the more information we have, the better that we'll be able to review your application. So now we are getting into the eligibility requirements. The first question asked, is the pit or quarry exhausted? You will be able to answer yes, no, I don't know. So yes, the pit is exhausted, or indicating to us that there is no valuable material or commercial material available to be used anymore. No, you're indicating to us that there is some sort of commercial material potentially left in the site. Is the pit or quarry registered? Again, dropping down, you'll see yes, no, or I don't know. So again, yes, you will tell us whether or not it's registered. No, it's never been registered, and I don't know. This is an indication to us that we will actually have to do some background information searching. If you click yes, you'll be asked to provide your registration number. And this is an alphanumeric number, usually PQ, the year it was issued, and then a specific identification number that follows. Has an annual return been filed and have rehabilitation levies been paid on the subject property? Again, you'll be indicating to us yes, no, or I don't know. All this information will be confirmed by our staff prior to it going over to the engineering firm. These 4 lines I am actually going to leave blank at this point in time and then continue down through the application process, because the information that is lower in the application will actually provide the advice as to how to fill in these forms. So simple estimate start date. So you'll just select a date that you would like to start work, and then you will select a date when you think the work will be finished. So the project area, here you're actually going to advise us whether or not, or the size, excuse me, of the pit or quarry. So we're just going to be 24 hectares. Does the project area compromise only a portion of the total area disturbed by quarrying on the property? So again, this is a yes or no answer. So you're just basically telling us whether or not all the potential quarry material has already been actively disturbed. So if you click on yes, you'll get this additional question that asks you the percentage of the area that has been disturbed. And then there's just a follow-up question to that. Will other portions of the property likely be quarried in the future? And again, it's just a yes/no answer. Moving on to embankment sloping details. So for your first embankment slope, you'll be giving us some information as to where the slope is located. So you can indicate to us that it's in the northeast face, or left of center point, or any other sort of identifying feature. If we actually go into, if you provide a map to us, so this is just a really rough drawing of what a quarry could potentially look like. So here I've indicated this is your phase 1, this is phase 2, and this is phase 3. And it's very simple, telling with a simple arrow saying which direction is north. So this is your north wall, this is your northeast wall, this is your east wall. So I will say this is my north wall. You will advise us why you want this wall to be rehabilitated. Is it for safety purposes, or are you looking to rehabilitate the land for agricultural purposes? Here you will be telling us the length, the height, the width of that wall. And in order to measure those items, you need to go into calculating the cost per cubic meter. And so if I just click on the illustration, it actually shows you what we expect to see for the length here, the height, and the actual width of the current quarry, being the W1. You'll be advising us of the current slope. You'll be dropping down the menu, telling us what that slope is and what you would like to see the finished slope to be. So the cubic meters is, again, going back to calculating. So based on this illustration, you go back to your material volume and you actually type in those measurements for your specific wall. Then you're actually moving over to what your desired slopes are and typing in those measurements. And in this location right here, it has calculated your cubic meters being rehabilitated plus an additional 10%. So that number will go into your cubic meters right here. The dozing distance is the distance the material is going to move. So basically creating your new slope. So the new toe of your slope, how the distance that's going to be from the current slope. You can add embankment details here. So now we are going to say this is the east wall. You're going to be advising us as to the purpose, if it's safety or agriculture. And again, going through the length, height, and width, your current slope, your finished slope in the cubic meters. In this case, if you find, you may want to actually just remove these details here. And then in your phase 2, so we'll again just type in some information. In this case, I'm going to really push the wall out to 50. And then you can see the cubic meters being rehabilitated is now this number, 5500. And so that would be the number that I would move into this location for the cubic meters for this specific bank. You can also remove embankment details here. So now we are going to move into stockpiles. So here we've asked for the type. Is it topsoil, overburden, reject, or NA? So you're just giving us advice as to what the type of material is within the actual stockpile. You're going to advise us of the texture. And this is going to be loose sand, medium till, compacted clay, or basic not available, which is not, you don't know what the material consists of. And this again provides details to review your application and get a better understanding of the costs for the work that you're going to be completing. So again, you're looking at providing us the details for the length, the height, and the width of that stockpile. By multiplying these three figures together, you come up with your cubic meters. And then the distance to embankment being sloped is basically the how far you're going to actually be pushing this stockpile to be added to the slope. So you can add a stockpile here. And so it's again asking all the same information. And if you've clicked on this add stockpile too many times, you can also then remove the stockpile. So additional project details consists of oversized boulders. So you'll be advising us whether there is an absence of boulders or if boulders are covering the site. And these are all in percentages. Size range, you'll be telling us whether they are 10 centimeter boulder, which that's a large stone maybe, to 50 meters or larger or smaller. So just a range size of what the boulders are. Then you'll be advising us how you're going to be treating those boulders. Will they be buried? Will they be pushed to the toe of the slope for stability? Will they be moved to a different location? You know, just those are just some examples. So then we're asking about whether there's any trees or vegetation, again, selecting whether they are absent or if they are covering the site. You're going to advise us the size of those trees. So whether or not they are just saplings, or if they are shrubs, or if they are merchantable timber, and then whether or not you're going to be treating that. Are you going to be burying them as part of some overburden or as a part of fill? Will you be transplanting those trees elsewhere, or will you try to leave some areas undisturbed for natural habitat? Water constraints. So again, you'll be advising us whether it is absent or if it is covering the site. And this could be groundwater, surface water, or even puddles from some rains that have recently happened. So you'll be advising us what type of water the constraint is, the issue for it, and how you will be treating that. Will you be draining it? or will you just be leaving the water in the site? You'll also, if there's a depth, you'll want to indicate to us whether the depth of that water, if you're able to. And a photograph of the water constraints would always be helpful to us as well. Property limits and utility constraints. So these are roadways, access routes, utility poles, other overhead electrical wires or telephone wires, those types of things, any underground features maybe. So you're advising us whether they are absent or covering the site. And then you're advising us what they are and what your plans are. So will you be buffering these locations? Will you be working right up to them? You know, those types of things. What is the proposed end use of the rehabilitated area? So here you are actually just going to be advising us, you know, are you going to be leaving it for recreational purposes? Are you going to end up having it, bringing in some topsoil, and then you're going to use it as cropland? If you're going to leave it for natural, or if you're going to actually put some trees or plant some trees in that area. The safety risk assessment rating, again, it is just a drop-down menu telling us whether it is low or if it's high. And this safety risk relates to your personal well-being, health and safety, environmental safety concerns, wildlife safety concerns, and others. In the general comments, you can provide more details to us that may not be captured in the actual application. You'll be advising us if you're going to be doing any seeding. You're talking about your priority of work for safety issues and other visibility concerns and other items. Any information that you think maybe help in the review and approval of your application. So having worked through these 4 sections as they're listed, the additional project details, your stockpiles, and your embankment sloping details, you now have an idea of what your total estimated project cost is going to be. So here, based on all the information, it's been determined that you will be estimating a project cost of $500,000. How much money or how much funding is being requested? In this case, we're going to request $250,000. Therefore, the landowner is expected to pay $250,000. To find out this project funding being requested, we are going to go back to our calculating the cost per cubic meter. So I'm just going to enter just some more details here. So the total now is showing this 600 or 68.75 for the cubic meters being rehabilitated. We have indicated that we are asking the government to fund $250,000. This will result in a project funding being requested cubic meters as 36.36. This is the information that you enter here. And again, this is being used to help us rank the applications in the review. So I am just going to scroll down to the bottom to the declaration. So you will be putting your name, your city or town, your province, and then the date is auto-filled. We're asking you to read and confirm and agree and understand all these points. The one thing again I would like to highlight, for your application to be considered complete, you need to provide some satellite imagery, photos, maps, and again, it could be as simple as this type of map where you've hand drawn what your quarry looks like, and it's indicating to us the various faces. All this needs to be emailed to us. At the very end of this, the process, when you click submit, you will be giving a unique number. And then provide your last name first and the first name. So you'll be sending us an email with all these documents attached. In here, you'll also find that you'll, once your application has been reviewed and you have been approved, you will have to sign a funding agreement with the government. So that information provides all the details of our expectations, your expectations, when money will be provided, and all just various other information that finalizes the agreement. So you will be selecting yes. Because I haven't filled in all the details, I probably will end up getting kicked back up. Yes, so. Oops. Sorry, I guess I probably should have finished this actually while I was filling it in. Again, you can see that it's fairly so again, your PQ number is the year it was issued, and then it will have a unique identifying number. Safety D. Your finished slope, cubic meters, your distances, topsoil, the texture. Okay, so again, clicking yes and submit. You'll want to click on I am not a robot. They'll ask you to identify some features just to ensure that you are not a robot. So with here, they're asking whether to select the images that have a mountain or hill in the background. Click to proceed again. So here is your confirmation number right here. And this is the information that you will be advising us with your last name and your first name when you submit your status of title document any maps or photographs, and other items that you want us to see so that we can evaluate your application. So yeah, thank you very much. If you have any questions, as Lori indicated, type them into the chat box and we will now try to answer some of those questions for you.
Okay, Jane, I do have a couple questions. Would there be a cost to the landowner if the phase of work does not exceed $250,000?
So so you're able to receive up to $250,000 if the amount of work being estimated or the cost of the work is less than $250,000, then yes, they can apply for $150,000, and then again, their application will be reviewed and considered.
Okay, great. Next question. Is the pit or quarry exhausted? The area to be rehabilitated has been exhausted, but not the whole pit. We want to close the mined out portion and continue. Do we enter yes or no?
So in that case, you will be entering no, because the pit is not exhausted. And then the secondary question where it asks whether or not you'll be further continuing work in the same area. So it's almost like there's two different parts. I'll just go back to the application form, sorry. So is the pit exhausted? You'll say no. And then if you actually go down further to these two questions, it actually specifically asks whether or not it is the area you're applying for is the total area that's disturbed, and whether other parts of the property will likely be quarried in the future. So this is where you answer those questions.
Okay, great. Another one is, do you need all past PQ numbers or just the recent active PQ number?
Just the recent active PQ number.
All right, and I have one more here. What do we put in the dozing distance? What does that represent?
So as part of the embankment sloping details, it's the distance that material is going to be moved in order to get the reduced slope. So, and then in the stockpile, the dozing distance again is the distance the stockpile is going to be moved in order to support the reduced slope of that particular wall it's being moved to.
Okay, that looks like that's all the questions live that we have today. I think there were some questions emailed that those folks will receive a response via email as well, if you're wondering about those questions. And I see that's all for today, Jane.
Okay, sounds good. So yeah, so unfortunately, I don't have that one file, but yeah, so we have a 945 number, so it's 204-945-1119 is the Mines Branch phone number. We also have a 1-800 number that's available. That is actually, okay, it's 1-800-223-5215. It actually is also available in this top corner. And then we also have a dedicated email address. So it's Quarry Rehab, all one word, at gov.mb.ca that you can also send us emails to, and we will respond back to those questions that are found there. Again, that's the same email address that you'll be sending us your status of title, your photos, maps, satellite imagery, any other documents that you want us to consider as part of your application.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you everybody for joining us today. And again, yeah, feel free to contact us and somebody will be hopefully with you within a day.
Excellent. I just had one last question come in, Jane. Can you give us an idea what we'll need to send in after the project is awarded? For example, proof that it's been completed.
So again, that the way that that's going to be done is you will be actually providing us photos and of the work that's being done and invoices and
Like before and after.
yeah, before and after photos.
Okay, I think that's it for today. Thank you, everyone. And I will be sending out, like I said at the beginning, a link to this recording.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.